Funny story, I really quickly went to go shopping in my local grocery store, and after finishing getting together everything I wanted, everyone started clapping. And to make matters worse, after ignoring it and paying for my purchase, the cashier asked me, should I roll for Nina and Sanae? And then I woke up, realizing that I just wasted half of my day instead of just taking a quick nap. But to prevent you from wasting your precious resources, you are today taking on the role of our imaginary shopkeeper, wanting to acquire the forbidden knowledge, aka if Nina and Sanae are worth rolling for, by listening to the crazy man with the tinfoil hat after he played with his fancy new toys for a decent amount of time. Yeah, that guy is me. But before we get into it, like usual, let me thank my channel members. Thank you guys so much for supporting me, and of course an extra big thank you to the Grand Warlock. Back to our newest garden stuff. And to save the more exciting stuff for last, let's start with our newest Thunder 5-star detonator, Maid. Sanae, or how I like to call her, Noelle, who fell into green paint, featuring MC Paper Ghost. And before we can talk about my first impression on her and if she's good enough to roll for, let's quickly go over what she actually does, cause I'm sure not everyone understood completely what Sanae and Manae actually do the first time they saw this wall of text. So first off, Sanae's active lets you summon Manae, your friendly neighbor ghost, to a selected tile, dealing damage to every target in the way whenever she moves. And because this is once again one of those skills, meaning to actually use the skill you have to acquire. What is it this time? Threat points. 3 to summon her, or only 1 to move her if Manae is already in the field, but sadly the number of these is quite limited, as you only get 1 per turn and BT 0, and by the way, yes, I'm going insane having to repeat Sanae and Manae every single time. Speaking of that, Manae has quite a punch, as this little ghost gets 70% of Sanae's basic attack, which increases even further with her second stack mechanic, her EQ provides. And yes, this matters as this paper doesn't only cut but also bites, because Manae follows you. Yes, she walks the same path you do, dealing damage every time she makes contact with any pesky enemies. And here comes the best part. You get a cheeky double chain whenever you reach 5 marks in 1 turn or 30 marks total. Problem is, to get threat marks you need to deal damage with Manae. Yes, not Sanae, Manae. And to summon Manae you need threat points, and you only get 1 per turn. And while hitting Aurora time gives you a freebie when it comes to moving Manae, it's just a single wet drop on a very hot tablet as stone. Meaning, Sanae is not only a damage dealer in the Thunder element, which is pretty bad considering that one just got the single best DPS in the game, she's also a 5-star, giving her less stats to work with, which is once again pretty bad considering her competition. And to add insult to injury, her BTs are quite important, as you want at least BT 3 to make her somewhat of a decent choice compared to any other DPS in Thunder, because this gives you preemptive, but while Manae is quite fun to play around with, she requires a way too big brain to utilize perfectly. But getting lots of hits on enemies and ending it with a free double chain is a pretty good payoff. So while Sanae is quite wacky when it comes to her mechanics, she is quite fun and definitely has some hidden potential. Although you might want to pick up at least 1 additional copy, which overall makes me give her, a solid to strong rating for now. And you, a recommendation of rolling for the guaranteed 5-star, but only if you really like her design, else it's not really worth it unless you don't care about the Persona collab at all. But anyway, let's move on to our next newest staff member, who looks like she came straight out of Gothic? Or like a younger version of Nightingale. Let's be honest here. Nina is every goth lolita ever, and I really hate those way too long sleeves, but regardless of that, this doesn't matter, and we do have to talk about how good she really is gameplay wise, as she is our newest Water 6-star detonator, which is once again not that great, as Water recently got the single best BT0 detonator in the game, and is additionally to that not really lacking in the DPS department. But like usual, let's first check out her skill set, as this might even be more complicated and confusing than Sanae's, which is at least something she excels at. Let's just get to Nina's active. And while I said that this might be hard to comprehend at first, it's actually quite simple if you break it down, just like I break down whenever I have to read a new skill set that introduces 20 new mechanics and of course 5 new stack systems. But regardless of that, this simply has 2 different effects based on what state you're in. No, not you, her. because if she's still holding her precious fancy umbrella, this lets you yeet the thing all over the place onto a chosen tile, dealing minimal damage at best to everything it comes across. But if this thing is already lying in the rain, you're now unarmed. I don't know in which world a parasol can... Anyway, in the unarmed state, this lets you recover your lost umbrella with the power of friendship, now once again dealing damage to all enemies in your way, but this time a whole lot more. And because Turtok thought that Nina was way too boring and didn't do already too much things, there's also a small parasol minigame. If you pick it up, you reset the CD of the skill. If an enemy picks it up, you get punished by one more turn. And honestly, I wish that was all there is to these two modes in this skill, but we still have 2 whole Game of Thrones books to go through, as Nina in armed mode is what Turtok is trying to sell her as, aka a detonator. But somehow losing that piece of cloth on a stick makes her suddenly a global range sniper with diagonal attacks, and picking it up makes you once again a real detonator featuring some extra small damage on top. And while that sounds at first not only unique, but also to say it in more pristine words, Poggers, after playing house with her for 10 hours, you will quickly realize that DPS machine is broke. Because constantly switching between a sniper and a detonator in one unit is not only headache-inducing, but also very clunky and hard to deal with in actual gameplay. To make matters worse, her biggest payoff is supposed to be the reclaiming of her parasol, featuring big damage, but not only does the buffing for this skill suck, meaning it gives you at best 2 to 3 hits, it also takes you 3 turns to achieve this, which is not ideal because you're now stuck with a global sniper for 3 turns while fighting a very angry Umbra Hulk. Meaning, Nina is an interesting, unique, surprising take on a DPS. But to summarize her in only a few words, she's a jack of all trades and master of none. Only that all here refers to doing less damage than any other 6-star sniper when it comes to mobbing, and suffering from being BT locked and not that great overall compared to the gods of the Olymp. Or goddess. And while abusing Bethel at first glance might seem like the best strategy for her, that is in fact a criminal offense and also would require you to use the skill every single turn, regardless of if you're even gaining anything at all. And all of that just for 1 hit of Filthy Frank. Yeah, I'm good. So while she might have some potential hidden beyond these still way too long sleeves that make me want to cut them off, her big payoff is not really worth unless you get out the money and sell your house just for that sweet maximal bitterness. And that ping pong detonator sniper playstyle just makes her an awkward team inclusion in a world that's already dominated by Azure, Fleur, Connolly, Bethel, Regal. I could do this for days. And before I forget, my temporary rating for her is... solid to strong. With a slight chance for salvation if some big brain AI from the future visits us, giving us the ideal playstyle for Nina that would make her actually pretty good. But till then, don't roll for Nina unless you really dig her design. In which case... And maybe also if you... no, never mind. The collab is right around the corner, so unless you don't care about Persona at all, in which case you should, else. You can just skip her with a big smile on your face, being satisfied with saving once again a huge amount of loom ember thanks to your favorite tinfoil hat wearing YouTuber. So just skip her. And that was all from me. Leave your opinion on Nina and Sanae in the comments down below. And that was pretty much all from me. See you next time.